Hiya, this is Jenny from Just Being Me, and you're listening to the Learning to Love Yourself podcast, the show that inspires you to put yourself first.
Learning to love yourself on the path to happiness. Learning to love yourself on the path to happiness.
I'm Jenny Field, and welcome to Learning to Love Yourself podcast. Today, I'm with the very, very lovely Victoria Louise, who has an amazing story to tell. So welcome, Victoria.
Thank you, Jenny. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for having me on your lovely
You're more than welcome.
podcast. So, a little bit of background about me and how I guess I got to where I am, I suppose. So, I think from a young age, I always knew that I was interested in anything that was a little bit different. You know, I was the child that was like, Mum, can I have the spell books? Can I have the witch books? And she was like, no, absolutely not. So I was always very much connected to, you know, otherworldly things, the spiritual world, and, you know, herbs and healing and this kind of thing. So from my sort of teenage years, I was very much into fitness and health and well-being. You know, my first business was a personal training business. And from there, it led me on to many things. It led me on to Reiki and, you know, all the kind of holistic practices, massage, you name it, you name it. And somewhere along that line, somewhere along in life, I kind of lost my way a little bit with that and felt like, who am I to really do healing? You know, I kind of lost my way with healing a little bit and thought, yeah, but am I really a master healer? You know, am I really this kind of person that I would always be told I am? You know, you're a master healer. You're meant to do this in the world. Endless amounts of psychics would say this to me. And I just feel like, yeah, but if that was meant to be, I would really feel a connection to it. So somewhere along the way, you know, I went down the path of really kind of getting more into the corporate type of sales. And I think I'd really loved working in sales previously, but this one particular job that I got was unlike anything I'd done before. And I started to get into more management and sales management. And here I am in this job full of men. Very, very rare to have like any females in this kind of industry. And I suddenly felt really out of my depth, and I was working lots of hours. There was loads of pressure, and I was quite used to handling the pressure of sales targets and things like this. But this was just a different type of feeling, and everyone around me, the energy just didn't feel right. You know, when you're just in a job and you
Absolutely.
just know I feel like I'm pushing uphill here. And it got to a point, thank goodness for me, and I know this isn't the case for everybody, but for me, where lockdown and COVID hit us. And I know a lot of people in COVID during that time and during lockdown had a lot of thinking time and had a lot of time with their family and a lot of time to reevaluate their life. And I was dreading the moment that I was going to get called back for this job. And so during this time of being in lockdown, I had a year really where I was quite blessed. I got to stay at home and they paid me. And I was looking for something. I was trying lots of different things, you know, and I was picking up loads of old hobbies that I used to love, playing the keyboard and reading and meditating and drawing and being creative. And I thought, wow, this is such a different life, you know, cooking, and me and my partner were just really enjoying ourselves in a way. And I thought, I've made a bit of a mistake in my life here. I'm in something that's not lighting me up. I'm living 3 hours away from home, coming home on the weekends when I can, working all hours, working with a team that don't particularly like what they're doing either. And I just thought, what am I doing? not even looking after my body. I'm not looking after my health. At that time, I was drinking and smoking and just sabotaging myself. And I think it got to a point where I didn't even want to get out of bed. I knew that was the point where I had really fallen into like the pit of, I guess, depression, because there'd be 5 minutes before I'd have to be at work and I'd be dragging myself out of bed. And I'd said to my partner, if this is life, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not even bothered. Like, I just don't even want to do life anymore, to be honest. And, you know, for her, that was really probably challenging as well, because she's trying to like motivate me through this. But nothing could have changed until I was out of it. You know, I couldn't see it when I was in it. And the challenging thing with that was the salary was so good, so it kept me stuck in that job. And so it was such a blessing to have that space and time and to realize there's more to life.
And it's a funny thing, isn't it? Whereby the fact that actually, because you've got all this money, you create this lifestyle and you're still not happy.
No, exactly. And I thought that's what I wanted, to be a 6-figure earner and make all the money and do all the things. And of course, yes, in my business, yes, absolutely. But not in a job where you're working 50 hours a week, you're stressed, people are shouting at you. You know, people are saying it's not good enough. You need more. We need more from you. This isn't good. You know, you will get fired. You know, it's just like, wow, that is not who I am at my core. If anyone knows me, I'm a very go with the flow, spiritual kind of, you know, I'm all about rest and nurturing ourselves. So how I ended up there, it was an unusual turn of events, but I do truly believe that it led me back on the path of spirituality and healing and coaching, because along came shamanism. You know, this lady was advertising this program online. I didn't even know what it was, to be honest. I had no idea. I just felt the call to this particular thing. And I really, truly believe that coming back to that spiritual practice and finding, shamanic healing, and that really changed everything for me, because I now had a purpose again. And in my coaching and healing business, that's what I started with. I was really just starting with the shamanic element of things and, you know, helping women manifest more money so they didn't need to stay in this kind of job. Because I thought to myself, if anyone else feels like that in a 9-to-5, I have to save them. It became my mission. I was like, I cannot let anybody do that, because it was the first time in my life I'd experienced a job like really like that I hated. And I'd never experienced that before. I think I've always been quite lucky with my careers, because I was a dancer. I followed my dreams. You know, I danced on cruise ships, and then I had this wonderful life working on cruise ships, selling beautiful jewelry and traveling the world. And I was like, gosh, life's just so cushy and it's beautiful. And then here I am in this job, and I think, oh my goodness, here I'm back in the real world now. Here we go.
Do you think it was the universe sending you a thing, right? If you don't think that you are part of the spiritual world and that Reiki is for you and all of these things, that the universe went, well, here you are, then have a dose of this and think what you think of this, and then we can get you back where you need to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do remember having a conversation with a lady, and she was looking into my Akashic records and things like this. And she said to me, you've got to remember that you've been healing people your whole life. And I thought, well, how? Because I haven't done healing my whole life. I mean, I've done personal training and all these things. She said, but even through your dancing, said you were tapping into creativity and showing the world. You were healing them through that. You know, they were watching a show, and in that moment they were healing something. But when you're not even tapped into your creativity, and when you're not tapped into anything that's really helping the world, I don't believe in that job I was helping the world in any way. I don't believe I was doing anything really that was good. I mean, I was helping people buy a holiday home. Yes, to a certain degree, that was helping them, but it just wasn't part of my mission. And I think the universe just gave me a massive slap around the face and said, yeah, come on.
So how important were the people around you in that? How important was what I call the tribe?
Incredibly important. And I'll still say that my best friend, who I met she is my best friend, and we've only known each other for probably 5 years, but we met through fate, really, because somewhere that I was working, she came for a week to study under me. And she was a life coach who was, also going through the journey of building her business. And she was kind of at the beginning stages then as well, or maybe like a year or 2 years in. And she just said to me, God, you'd make a wonderful healer and coach online. Have you ever heard about it? I thought, no, who does coaching and online healing? What are you on about? I've never heard of this. This is me 4 years ago, just being popped into the industry, and wow, it opened my eyes. I did not know any of this was possible. So if it hadn't have been for that chance meeting, none of this would be, I wouldn't even be here.
And has she supported you on through that?
Absolutely. We talk every single day. We've done programs together. We've done, so many amazing things together. And this is why, another thing as well is that not only that, I'm helping my family by coming back to healing and doing all this work. I'm helping my family. I've been able to help my mum go through some health challenges as well by, again, realizing that this is what I'm meant to do. Okay, I primarily help people with sales and money and that kind of thing as well. But a lot of that is also the deep rooted stuff that goes on underneath our beliefs. And, I'm a big advocate for we can run a business without burning out. And so for me, it's everything holistically. Everything that I've done my whole life leads to what I'm doing now. So all these people have been so important.
Do you feel like sort of, actually you had to go through certain stages of your life? You had to go through the moment where you thought, geez, I need to change something to really be able to sit down and go, okay, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because my biggest belief here with this is that I've had to experience all of this to understand my client's pain.
Yeah.
And so because I have done all of this journey and built everything from scratch and, started from the beginning again in what I call entrepreneurship, because I was an entrepreneur and then didn't do that for 10 years. It was like starting from scratch again. So I understand the pain of being in a job, being burnt out, being stressed. And I had really bad health issues. I had stomach issues. I had chronic acid reflux. And at one point I gave myself gout, which is pretty much impossible. My doctor said, what the hell have you been doing to yourself? He said, 6-year-old men get this.
Huh.
And I was just like, well, this is stress. This is what it does. And so I burnt out probably 3 times in my life. So I understand the importance of the hustle is definitely not real. It's not something we need to be following. We, especially if we're heart centered and we're healers and we're coaches, we've got to look after ourselves first and foremost. So I feel like I went through all of this and it's all a divine plan. Of course it is. It's life lessons.
Exactly. I mean, you cannot, if you're in the world of helping people, you cannot help somebody that you don't have any understanding of what's happened to them. If you've never experienced anything remotely like it, how can you support somebody? Everything that comes from me is based on my experiences. Yes, there's qualifications, but actually it's way, way more about the experiences that have gone on in my life.
Yeah.
So what do you do now? What's your daily self-care plan?
So at the moment, I am actually upping my sort of rituals a little bit more. And I am following a book called 21 Rituals, which is by a lady called Teresa Cheng, I think is her name. And that is just small mindfulness practices throughout the day. So I really like that. But with anything that I do, I always put my own unique spin on it. I tend to not follow anything blindly because I always think we've got to do what's completely right for us. But one thing I would say is I follow my intuition and I follow my body. And I am not your usual business coach because I will advocate if you need to take a week off or 2 weeks off, it's absolutely fine. I'm not a fan of pushing through anything. If I feel tired, I rest.
Mhm.
And so there's time where I'm quite happy to take a week off social media. And I know that my business will still run because I have the belief that everything I do in my own way, if I follow my intuition, it works. And truly that has been a key to my success. The moment I try and push myself and force myself to do more, I feel like everything gets harder.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you there.
Yeah. And again, I'm very much, another thing that I would really recommend anyone do is look into your own personality type, your own energy type. For me, I have looked into my human design. And if that means anything to anyone, for me, my human design is a projector. So it means I'm supposed to, I'm not meant to work all day. I meant to work sort of 4 hours and rest the rest. That's what they say. Now, I'm not a fan of labels because I don't really do labels either. I'm a bit of a rebel at heart, but I do take on board that could be true for me because if I try and do a full day of work, I feel drained. If I was to try and do 5 shamanic healings in a day or 5 coaching sessions, I know I would feel drained. So I just really manage my time and my energy the best I can. And I follow my cycle. I know right now I'm like day 6 moving forward. I know I've got tons of energy. I can do way more, but give me 2 weeks. I'm not going to feel the same. So I really try and not beat myself up for that because we are just, at the end of the day, we're human beings and sometimes we've just got to be.
Since I've identified my pattern and my energy levels throughout the month, so I have an energy tracker that goes out to the world, which I'll put a link for down the bottom. But since I know my patterns, it makes such a difference because I know, okay, I'm going to have high energy at this point in time. So that's when I book this in for. I'm going to go be low energy. So I book far less things in, or I book in things that I know that are really easy for me to do. I don't need a huge amount of energy. And, we have all sorts of different cycles that go on for us anyway, don't we? So just finding out. So I have spaces on my tracker that you can put whichever cycle you want to look at. So my husband who has ME, he tracks his as well. So it's all different things so that we know where we are and how we're doing. But it's what the core in all of that is actually sitting and getting to know who you are, how your body works, how you function, what's good for you. And that's one of the reasons why when I was pushed to come back into the arena of pushed, but I wanted to come to the arena of support and coaching. It had to be on my own terms. I didn't want to go back into a job doing it. It had to be self-employed because that way I can actually follow what my body's saying rather than actually follow somebody that's up the top there saying, no, you must work these hours, however you feel, however productive you feel, however well you feel, or whatever else. This is what you will do. And it's just a factory. And unfortunately, human beings aren't a factory. So, once you know that that's not for you, it's a step out, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot to learn with companies. If they took this on board, their staff, their employees would be a lot more energized. And I know there's certain countries that do this. They honor this rest time, and gosh, we have a lot to learn sometimes in the Western world as well. But it's absolutely true. I mean, I physically cannot go back. I can never actually go back to something full time. I know, I always say I've kind of ruined it for myself because unless it was something that I loved, and look, I'm not trying to say that I wouldn't if I had to. Of course, I'll always support myself and my family. I'll do whatever I need to do. But it's just impossible when you've got this way of living. It's just so hard to go back to that, because you just realize how much we can thrive when we do this.
And I think we spend a lot of our time going to work for a lot of materialistic things and a lot of things that give us a status or something else that's irrelevant once you realize that I'm me and nobody else is like me. Nobody ever. And you're you and nobody is ever going to be like you, because we're just so unique. And I don't need to follow what everybody else tells me to do. I need to follow what my body tells me to do. And that's the place that I go. And once you realize that, I find now, actually, I don't need a lot of the things that I used to think I needed. What gives me joy is much simpler. So that leads me very nicely on to tell me something that fills your cup up, that gives you joy.
Do you know, it's funny because I come from a family that were, well, quite wealthy, and we had a lot of the nice things in life. And, you know, I'm very blessed and I feel very abundant in my coaching business. However, some of the things that light me up are walking mountains, you know, like the three things: walking outside, being in nature. For me, my love language is quality time. So there's actually no money that can really buy quality. I mean, I suppose there could be, but for me, quality time is the most important thing. And the most important thing I value above money is freedom and friendship, like connection. So money, can it buy you happiness? Maybe it can. Some say it does. Some say it doesn't. I think it can buy you more adventures and freedom and travel and all those things. So they're the things that really light me up. But I never take for granted the free things, the small things, because they're amazing. You know, just going to the seaside, being by the sea, doing any of those small things for me, gardening, like cooking, like cuddling my dog. Those things for me are priceless. Money doesn't buy those things. And I think a lot of people are chasing money. And that was one thing I was trying to do. I was like, I got to get this thing back, because, you know, I used to be wealthy and I want all the money. And of course we all want to be abundant, but I realized I don't want that. I want freedom. And what I have is freedom.
Absolutely. Yeah. I went out for my walk earlier on today, and I stood watching two planes flying, and their trail made a cross. And I just stood there for about 10 minutes of those, and I was like, wow, there's a great big kiss up in the sky. And that's really beautiful. And it costs nothing. No, I'm outside doing it. So for me, it's a lot of work that I do with my clients is finding that thing that really lights you up, and it costs nothing. You can get that. And then remembering that feeling to relive that again.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a beautiful thing if you once you can get your head around that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why for me, it's like nature just lights me up so much. It's all around me. It's free. You know, this is why I now sit in my conservatory, because I always look out. You know, there's about 6 cats that have walked by since we've been doing this. And then, you know, a couple of squirrels. There's a cat in the garden now. The dogs are going to go wild if they see him or her. But it's okay. But, you know, I've had everything in this garden. I was saying to someone earlier, I've had a deer, I've had foxes. It's like, wow, this is amazing, you know, and it's all free. And I get to sit here and do these sessions and just be surrounded by this. And so that really, honestly, truthfully lights me up. I could just go out and walk and it would change my entire energy.
Absolutely.
It really would.
I actually didn't manage to make it outside yesterday. And I kind of thought to myself, okay, because I have religiously walked every day for the last 3 weeks, not for great lengths of walk, because I'm not particularly fit. So, you know, we start off short, but I missed it yesterday because of various things that happened. And the time that I'd allotted for it got lost into something else. And I thought, well, it's only one day, it's fine. But I woke up this morning and thought to myself, oh, I feel a bit, and I realized that actually I hadn't been out for my walk. And I thought, my body's already going, this is what you need to do. We're enjoying this. We like this. Go back. And actually got out today, made it a massive priority for today and feel so much better today.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? How quickly your body can actually suck in all the stuff that is really good for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, whatever you're doing, whatever daily practice you're doing, it doesn't have to take all day. This is a common misconception that, oh, well, I don't have time to do my yoga or my meditation or my breath work or walk or exercise or drink water. It's not about the time. It's about the intention. And it's about actually just committing to the thing. Like the little rituals I've been doing, they're 3 minutes. They're as simple as smile in the mirror, take 5 deep breaths. I don't remember all of them right now, but the very small, simple things. It's like, say thank you at the end of the day. Your self-care practice can be anything that makes you feel good. That's what I truly believe.
I have a kit called the Toilet Break Toolkit. And I created that because I had a client kept telling me they didn't have time for self-care. And all of these things can be done in the time it takes you to go to the loo. Yeah. So, and especially around Christmas, it was ideal for people because of the fact that, you're in a different scenario, you're in crowded rooms, you're not doing what you normally do. And if you need time out, you can go to the loo and nobody asks you any questions, So there is self-care isn't about time. It's about quality, and it's about choosing what you want to do and how you want to do it. So sometimes for me, it can be just sitting here and looking out of my window down at the view that I can see above the houses over there. It's all about going, actually, I need to give myself some time. And I find very much so that if you give yourself time, you are more productive afterwards.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I truly believe this. And, some people might find this strange, but some of the things that I tell my clients to do, because I'm working with sales and, clients and building your business, some of the things that I'll say is, okay, I just want you to stop working today. Actually, I don't want you to do anything, but I need to make more money. I need to make more clients. Just go and do something you like today.
Yeah.
Because actually, when was the last time you did that for yourself? Oh, I don't know. I haven't had time. Exactly. My whole belief around attracting clients and, that kind of thing is that if our energy is low, vibrationally, we are not in a good place to even attract the clients or even work with our clients and then actually lead them. We have to lead by example. And so that's my belief with my clients. But just in general, if you're a mother, it doesn't matter if you don't have a business. If you're a mother, if you want to lead your children in the best way, look after yourself first, or whatever you're doing. If you're a wife or a husband or a partner or whatever, it's about us first.
You cannot give to people from your cup because your cup will just be depleted. You need to give from people from your overflow. And therefore, if you live from a place of a full cup, it is, you're just using the overflow for other people and your cup's always full. And that means that you're really productive at what you do.
Yeah.
So obviously, we've talked a lot about during all of this about your business, but tell us what the name of your business is and just a short scenario of what you do, because it's not just about business. You also do shamanic healing, don't you? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, actually, my business is Victoria Louise Coaching. Pretty much that is me. But I do. Yeah, exactly. I do go by the spiritual sales coach because everything I do has to have the undertone of spirituality, self-care, healing. Absolutely. So I'm a spiritual sales coach and a shamanic healer. And really, this has been I sometimes forget how old I am. I think I like to pretend I'm not that old, but I think it's about 18 years. I could be wrong. 15 years of experience and working in various industries, health, well-being industry. And now obviously more so with coaching as well and business. But my whole ethos is really, I want to show people that there's a lot more freedom and a lot more abundance out there than what we've been conditioned to think there is. So actually what I'm helping people do essentially is help them manifest beyond the 9 to 5.
Absolutely. So, and for anybody listening to this, Victoria's my business coach.
And I just love it. It's so much fun.
You watch my journey, you look at all of the ways to connect with Victoria down below. So, do go across and go and check out all her socials and see what she's doing, because it's always really interesting.
It's always very interesting in my world. Absolutely. There's a little bit of everything going on sometimes. But yeah, no, thank you for that. I appreciate that. But yeah, honestly, I think as well, just anyone who's listening, whatever you're trying to achieve, I really want to tell you that there are so many things possible for all of us. And I think 2024, if you haven't already, if 2023 was challenging, don't let 2024 go by without you fulfilling your dream or shifting or changing your life, because it is possible for each and every one of us. Whether, Jenny, you've got an amazing program with the self-love and the empowerment, and wow, for someone who needs that to go through that program, they would have such a transformation in their life, and it's why I've been so heavily invested my whole life in transformation coaching, reading, growth, because there's always so much more for us than we think is possible.
Absolutely.
Really, there is.
And we don't reach the pinnacle, do we? The journey still goes on.
Yeah.
There's still stuff that comes into my life and I go, okay.
Yeah.
Needs that, needs to take a step forward in that. Okay. Hadn't connected those dots. How am I going to deal with this?
Yeah.
It goes on and on and on, and it never stops. And if it did stop, why? But that would be like, okay.
What do they say? If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah. So as I say, we'll put everything down below. Come and connect with both Victoria and myself if you find me through my socials. Thank you ever so much. Valentine's Day is coming. And what better way to celebrate it than falling in love with yourself again? Join me for a unique event experience that's all about self-love and self-care. This event is designed to help you take the time and space you need to reconnect with yourself. This 90-minute event means that you'll have an opportunity to participate in activities that will help you express gratitude, help you cleanse your mind and your body, and reconnect with your inner self. You'll also get to experience and enjoy the healing properties of drumming and affirmations. I've designed the event to provide you with the space to celebrate your longest relationship, the one that you have with yourself. Take this opportunity to look after yourself and embrace the power of self-love. The event takes place on the 14th of February, and it's the first day of the waning moon, so the energy will be perfect for self-reflection and self-discovery. Reserve your spot for just £11.11, and if you can't actually make the day, then there's a replay available for you. All the links are below. Thanks for listening today. If you'd like to know more, you can find all the links down below. Oh, and don't forget to press subscribe so you can catch the next one. See you soon.